Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Noragami Aragoto. I gotta say, man, this is easily one of my favorite episodes of this season thus far, even considering the Bishamon arc, because it was just filled with so many surprising aspects. It was engrossing, compelling, it was hilarious, it was goofy, in stark contrast, and a lot of unexpected twists and turns were in this episode for me. Seeing Yato and Ebisu, the dynamic between them, how they're facing off against each other in multiple, sort of formats, from just their dialogue to actually coming to fisticuffs, coming to blows. It was completely compelling and unexpected to me. I've been almost loosely considering Ebisu to probably be following in the footsteps of the malevolence of Kugaha from the earlier half of this particular season. And here we see this affable guy who's almost being friendly toward Yato. Nora has gotten Yato to go in and try to save him. It was a surprise that it was him to begin with, Ebisu, being this conjurer that their father, air quotes, wants them to go save and everything like that. And Yato's banking on the fact that Nora will let him be once this is all concluded. But of course, it's not going to be nearly that easy. And it just, when they meet this Izanami, this queen of the underworld, and she has these different appearances, it reminded me very heavily of one of my all-time favorite series, Star Trek, the original series, an episode called The Man Trap. It was the first one ever, aired on television in the 60s. And you had a creature called the M113 salt creature, effectively. It, subsisted on salt. But everyone who would encounter it would see sort of a product of their affections. For Bones McCoy, the doctor on the Enterprise, he saw an old flame, being very much looking sort of through the love lights as she did when he last saw her. For the captain of the Enterprise, Kirk, he saw an older woman, and that's really what is going on here with this Izanami. And it's just man, my mind was blown. And then of course you find out, oh, this is apparently Ebisu's mother. The familial aspect of the gods of this pantheon are mind-boggling and just get curiouser and curiouser for me as we go on, because it's I don't quite understand. I thought it was phenomenal, a phenomenal growth spurt, if you will, in the plot, that all of these gods, as they're having another one of these, meetings, they come clean with the fact that they suspect Ebisu from the outset. He's the only one who's not shown up, other than Yato. People are looking for Yato and everything, and they're worried about him. It's been a month that he's been completely missing and everything because of Nora's influence, as we saw in the last episode, and he's desperate to get back to Yukine and Hiyori and everything. And so I just love the fact that these gods, they already have henpecked who they believe to be the one behind all of these conjuring aesthetics, with these phantoms and the masks involved, and the whole impetus behind Ebisu's going into the underworld to begin with is to connive, Izanami to get one of these locution brushes. We were told in the last episode, somebody came to him and said, well, we found it, where you can find one, and it's in the underworld, and there's apparently someone else who was looking for one. I'm not sure if this is the same person who came back with the information to Ebisu as he was bedridden and saying, yes, I found where we can find one, or where you can find one, or if there's somebody else out there who's also trying to get their hands on one and trying to utilize it for some purpose. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what it is that is Ebisu's driving force as of yet. And for the fact that he is very sort of, kooky. His character is very kooky in the way he's going about this. On the one hand, he's bold-facedly saying to Yato, I'm not going to be negotiating in the traditional sense here to get one of these brushes. Little does Yato know that he's going to try to sell him out, and then he didn't actually mean to sell him out. They're all going to try to make an escape together. It's just time and time and time again, the story is twisting and turning just in this one episode, becoming that much more engaging, that much more, just enrapturing, as I say. And it's all unfolding. All of this stuff with Yato and Ebisu and Nora is all unfolding with what is tantamount to heartbreak. Hiyori is finally, it's been such a long time that she has been in contact with Yato and Yukine, apparently, that she's actually finally beginning to forget them. And you have Tenjin, warning one of his regalia, no, don't call out to her, this is how it needs to be. And Yato is so pining over getting back to them. And the whole time, watching Hiyori have this sort of breakdown of her memory as she's in this, amusement park with her friends and this guy, the guys that were with them. I'm not sure how to feel about them as yet. I almost had like a first impression, like maybe there's some malevolent machinations, puppet mastering going on in, behind the scenes. I don't know if I'm, correct or incorrect on that with these guys, but especially the one who keeps getting closer and closer to Hiyori. I don't know if this is being done purposely or not. But whatever, the case may be, the effect it's having on her, seeing her brought to tears multiple times as she's struggling to remember, she feels like something so important is just, beyond my grasp, to be able to recall something that is so important, something that is so, a necessity to my happiness, to my way of living. That's how linked she's been to Yato and Yukine and this whole far shore realm, this whole aspect. And finally it's fading, and by the end of this episode, it may be gone for good. I noticed in the OP, I always watch the OP because I love the song, the opening song to this series, and for the first time before watching this episode, it really suddenly struck me, that final shot in the OP where Hiyori is just sort of walking down the sidewalk and she looks back and you see Yato, train has gone by, you see Yato looking back at her. But the look on her face seems to be one of almost a blankness, like maybe she sees him but she doesn't recognize him. And I've been wondering if this was the penultimate fate for her. And the faces, the way they've animated her expressions in this episode when she's going after those little keychains and she's like struggling to remember, and the guy comes over and looks at her and she's like stricken. Her face is completely stricken with shades of horror, of sadness, of frustration, all of those things. The way they animated her expression by itself, without even the dialogue to tell you what's going on in her mind, it was just stark in contrast to everything that was going on with Yato and Ebisu. It was like tugging at my heartstrings. It was killing me seeing this. And then when they have the parade going on, sort of like the Disney, parade of lights kind of aesthetic, fireworks are going off, and she has this renewed sentiment. Everyone is staring at the skies. Everyone is, feeling exhilarated, and here she is completely depressive. She's looking down. She's internal. She is struggling to try to grasp whatever threads might exist to remind herself of what she lost. And almost as if to put a cap on that bottle for all time, does this guy see her expression? Once again, I'm moved by her expression almost to the point of tears. My breath caught in my throat. I was like, what's going to happen? And this guy takes her hand, leans in and kisses her. This is where we end. As Yato and Ebisu, we call back to them a couple of times, and we see they're running for their ever-loving lives from Izanami. And it's just like, man, the tension, the compelling nature of this episode. It was so well complemented, even though it did kind of flip-flop, and it was going back and forth between this lighter sort of aesthetic with, unconventionally Yato and Ebisu, and this much darker, foreboding nature of Hiyori's memory fading in what is supposed to be, the surroundings are supposed to be exactly what it is with Yato and Ebisu. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. You go into the darkness of the underworld, this malevolent playground for all of these phantoms and monsters and creatures, and this queen of the underworld, and yet it is the most lighthearted aspect of this episode. Yet you go to an entire amusement park that's supposed to be light and fluffy and joyous, and it's tantamount to heartbreak. Just, man, the people behind this series know every step of the way, with master stroke after master stroke, how to keep me not only attuned to it, but feeling the resonating aspects of these characters, feeling for them, feeling what they're going through, being compelled by the surprises and twists and turns. And it left me so excited by the end to see what's going to happen. I hope it isn't over for Hiyori and Yato and Yukine, but at the same time, it kind of needs to be, in a sense. Like, I'm so conflicted about it. I love it. So yeah, I mean, I could just jump off the walls that much more about this particular episode, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen episode 9 of Noragami Aragoto, if you enjoyed it and were as compelled and astounded by it as I was, if not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. I love having the conversation with you guys. Our POVs can always disagree. Whatever goes in the comments below, just love having that conversation. So yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Bring on the next one like mad quick. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Peace.